The General Secretary of the Independent Teachers Association, Mr Michael Raper, says any retrenchments would break down the whole framework of the Autistic Children's Association. He says it's essential the state government comes to the rescue with a $100,000 emergency grant.
The Autistic Children's Centre has already started retrenching staff and teachers in Sydney and in Newcastle. And if this money doesn't come in the very near future, the whole Autistic Children's Centre fabric will be broken apart. The team that they've built up over many years will be brought asunder, and they won't be able to ever put that back together.
What will this mean for the children?
Well, I really don't know, actually. That's the real problem. There will be nowhere for the children to go. There are no autistic children's services provided in state schools, and for the parents as well. These children need intensive care on a 24-hour basis, and if this Autistic Children's Centre collapses, I really don't know what will happen to those children. There'll be nowhere for them to go.
Necessary because of the falling number of new enrolments each year. It says the resources could better be utilised in secondary schools, where, because of the unemployment problem, more students are staying at school longer. President of the Newcastle branch of the Teachers Federation and member of the state executive, Ms Janet McLean, says 700 jobs were lost last year and the teachers decided not to take industrial action. But this time, she says, up to 90% of infants and primary school teachers will stop work for 24 hours.
I have not seen primary and infants teachers as angry as they are about the way they've been treated and the children have been treated in the last few budgets, and they just don't want that to happen again.
How do the parents feel about it?
Well, the parents too are very angry. We have tremendous support from the parent bodies, from the P&C associations. In fact, Shirley Begg, President, will be addressing the Sydney meeting, which will be on landline through to the various meetings, including Newcastle, and also Pam Smith from the infants group of parents will also be addressing our meeting, because they want to show that they support us, because they can see that it's their children that are suffering.
What do the teachers hope to gain by today's strike?
They hope to gain, they hope to show that they aren't going to take this any longer, that these children are growing up each year. It's 5 years since these promises were made first. Those children who started school then are now 10. They've gone through infant school, and they do not want this to continue. They don't want more children to go through under this situation.
Smith went to the remand league judiciary last night. He's been playing for West since 1977 and has been on the premiership winning side 4 times. And now, if West make it to the grand final, he has a shot at his 5th. And here is the incident that earned Smith the censure.
Brings it back up to the quarterway line to be taken by the West forwards in the tackle. Wallace prominent, another penalty.
He's off this time, right?
He's gone this time, Steve Smith.
No, Wallace, I think, is it?
Wallace is the captain. Smith is going to be unloaded here.
Yeah.
That's the rest of the match. That's time off he's calling.
That's a message from coordinators. Hundreds of parents are on waiting lists to get into this centre at the university. The centre has a cut-off level of 60 children and a waiting list of 260. A number of sites but the Newcastle City Council has closed, leaving Newcastle with no inner-city temporary care for children. Cardiff and Warners Bay. The Director of Community Services, Mr Don Caldwell, says council will be required to provide the land for the centres. funding is being made available for the cost of constructing childcare centres through the state government's wage pause system. The council has to have its submission into the state government by the 31st of this month.
Primary and infant teachers attended yesterday morning's strike meeting held at the Broadmeadow Police Boys Club. The meeting was linked by landline to the gathering in Sydney, and Hunter teachers were able to listen to speeches by the President of the Teachers Federation, Mr Max Taylor, and representatives from the Parents and Citizens Organisation. Local Teachers Federation organisers told the strikers that 60 primary and infant jobs will definitely be cut in the Hunter next year, and that more are likely. The Newcastle meeting voted overwhelmingly for further strikes unless more funds are provided for public primary and infant schools within the state budget. Schoolyards around the Hunter yesterday were conspicuously empty. Only a handful of students turned up for school, and all but a few teachers took part in the strike. Today, everything will be back to normal. Schoolyards, however, will be empty again next week, not because of a strike, but for the school holidays.
Alderman Alan Shields is leading the opposition. He's calling for more investigations into the proposed reclamation and beautification of the area between Brooks Parade and the lake at Belmont. He believes the council should be careful the reclamation doesn't affect the lake's contours, and he wants further assurances that the sandy beach will be maintained.
There's no argument whatsoever on the Belmont, on the town side, the jetty side of the bar. There's no argument there. We all agree that that needs a lot of work, needs restoration, and that will be the part that will go ahead first, and from that we can judge then to see if the other part will fit in and can be restored, and if we get the proof there, well, we can go ahead and do the other side. The point is too that there has been a lot of misunderstanding. I think a lot of the people are under the impression that council's ready to go, the money's been available. This is only being prepared for the next budget so that some monies can be prepared out of the next budget to start this work. It's not I think it's been a bit misleading in that respect, that the whole project has stopped because I've objected to it. I've only objected to one part of it for more confirmation that the area can be done, and hopefully we can get some money out of the budget for next year.
Workshop in Hargrave Street, Carrington. Firemen say an electrical fault in the compressor room is the most likely cause of the fire. The blaze, which was fueled by the oil seepage on the compressor room floor, quickly spread to the roof in the adjoining storage room. At one stage, it was feared that harmful gas was being emitted from the blaze, and firemen were ordered to wear breathing apparatus. The smoke was found to contain carbon monoxide and nitrogen. It's estimated $20,000 worth of damage was caused by the fire. The YMCA has been leasing this building in Mayfield for the past 3 years. But now the time has come to pick up the traps and move. And where better to go until a new premises can be found than the YWCA in Cooks Hill. Last night, a poorly attended public meeting was held at St Thomas Hall in Cardiff to discuss possible programs the Y could initiate in its proposed new home of Cardiff. But why has the YMCA decided to leave Mayfield? President of the Newcastle branch, Mr Kevin Moons.
Of course, the population of Newcastle and the inner suburbs is deteriorating to an extent that this is definitely the growth region out here. Basically, we've been a tenant of the building at Mayfield for the past 3 years, and our lease has expired, so we're seeking a sense of direction. And if the community of Cardiff particularly wish to have the Y and welcome us with open arms, well, we'll see if we can obtain a government grant and community support to re-establish here in this area.
Puts a party in a bottle, spick and span.
The YY man, the YY.
It's a familiar sound which was part of YY's identity for many years when the company enjoyed a big slice of the Newcastle market.
But not anymore. YY, one of Newcastle's oldest companies, closes its doors on Tuesday after 63 years in the business.
Things started going downhill for YY about 7 years ago. During that time, sales dropped off by 33%, and the company has been trading at a loss now for 20 months. Production has already ceased, and the staff, which has dwindled away to 12, will be out of work next week. Chairman Mr Jack Drysdale says competition has become very fierce over the past 3 years. He says 82% of the beverage market belongs to Sydney-based multinationals, and the rest is shared among companies, mainly country-based. YY tried to sell out, but the depressed local situation deterred buyers.
The main reason given by those people who have approached is that Newcastle is a depressed market, and if YY after 63 years cannot make soft drinks at a profit, then these people think, well, what chance would they?
Mr Drysdale also blames sales tax for killing profits.
So if we want to lay the blame at anybody at all, we can lay it firmly and squarely with the federal government on the aspect of sales tax.
Inroads into
Putting
the
aside
market
the
by
tax,
other products
then
such as
sell
fruit
the
drinks has also had an impact. YY was started in the 1920s by this man, James Cameron, an hotelier who inspired Newcastle traders to make their own soft drinks. It was called YY after a Maori term spelt WAI, which apparently means water. All these years, the company has remained in the hands of Newcastle shareholders.
Oh,
and
absolutely,
Mr Drysdale is confident that they will receive a reasonable return for the sale of company assets.
Yep.
There are quite a few memories disappearing from here soon. They just don't bottle soft drinks like this anymore. Although even the YY look has advanced.
Even with the changes that have occurred at YY, it's good to know there are still some things that remain, like their old split cordial bottles with a crown seal. Still around, but not for very much longer.
The development application for the new quarry has been submitted to the Port Stephenshire Council and is now being considered. But, to put it simply, the residents of Seaham don't want quarry trucks hurtling down their quiet country roads, stirring up the dust, frightening the grazing cattle and destroying the peace. They're against the beautiful countryside being scarred by a hard rock quarry and processing plant, and they are sceptical about the assurances given by the developers that these things won't happen. In fact, they are even questioning the need for such a quarry. President of the Seaman District Community Association, Mr. Brian Gilligan.
We claim that there just isn't adequate justification for the establishment of a quarry there. There are all sorts of inadequacies and inconsistencies within the EIS with respect to traffic surveys that were done, with respect to noise level, and perhaps the major thing is just the impact on the roads. The environmental impact assessment says quite simply that because main roads and one upgraded Shire road are going to be used, the impact on the roads will be low. Well, those of us who drive these roads every day of our lives know that a single additional 24.5-tonne truck travelling the road every day is going to begin to have an impact, let alone 50 per day doing a two-way trip. Claim that such impacts just aren't going to exist or are going to be low, well then we believe that they're denying the obvious, and they're not coming to terms with the reality of this, and we claim it's going to have a devastating impact on the roads, and that's something that's not going to be relevant only to the people of Seaham but also to all the other ratepayers of the Shire of Port Stephens who have been very concerned over the years with the degraded roads that they've had to put up with, because let's face it, we have quarries in other parts of the Shire and we know the impact of heavy vehicles on roads. And when we know that the basic main roads allocation, maintenance allocation, is going to have to be stretched that bit further.
About 600 students were at the school ceremony when the building collapsed. Rescue workers are still digging through the rubble and the death toll may rise. The brick school building was at Fen Wang, about 160 kilometres south of Taipei. Some of the students killed were on their first day at school, and police are having difficulty locating their parents.
Commuters had to dance their way to work as the water from the broken main flooded the streets of central New York. Thousands of subway riders had to consider their options when their trains failed to show up. And even if they did get to work, there was no electricity. But for some New Yorkers, it was a chance to cool down on a typical dog day afternoon.
Storm Barry is now headed toward the central
wave
Florida
gripping the
coast with 50
southeastern United
mile-per-hour
States
winds.
has spawned another tropical storm,
Space Center
Barry.
tomorrow.
It's heading for Florida and the Kennedy Space Center, where the Space Shuttle Challenger is being prepared for launch on Tuesday. If the storm proves too strong and the shuttle has to be moved from the pad, the blast-off will have to be postponed. In California, some marijuana users will not be blasting off after a raid by police on 4 greenhouses being used to grow the drug. The plants thrived in the warm, humid conditions. The crop of 1,000 pot plants had a street value of $2 million. One arrest was made, which goes to prove that people who live in glass houses shouldn't get stoned. And finally, for those looking for a gift for that special lady, the world's biggest heart-shaped diamond has gone on sale in London. At 70 carats, it's bigger than the stone given to Liz Taylor by Richard Burton, and 2 billionaires are already fighting to buy it. If you're interested, you'll have to be quick, with a cool £5 million, or $7 million. Police said the school at Feng Yuan collapsed while 600 students were attending the opening ceremony. Rescue workers are still digging through the rubble, searching for more bodies. Some of the dead were students on their first day at school, and police were having difficulty locating their parents. The brick school building was 30 years old.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be with you again. And you know, I'm feeling very, very happy. It's great to be alive. Without going into too much drama, as you know, I've been through a severe illness, in fact a heart problem over the last few months, and right now I feel on top of the world. By the way, I received the last cheque, or hopefully it's the last cheque, from the Hospital Contributions Fund, which I've sent to the respective parties. And I worked out what my illness cost me, and it came to a figure of around $5,000. Now that's a lot of money, but thank God I was properly covered. My personal contribution would only amount to, say, $100 or $150 or thereabouts out of that $5,000. So I again repeat, thank God I was covered. And the point I want to make this morning is the importance of the right insurance. Let there be no misunderstandings. You might be enjoying good health now, and I hope that that will continue. But we do not know what's around the corner. And I'm the classic example. I think the most important lesson I learnt from my recent illness was that I was not immortal, and I mean that most sincerely, so I hope you take the point. Now I know that health cover is expensive, but by the same token, if, for example, I hadn't been covered, okay, I might be in a unique situation. I could have afforded to pay the $5,000 out of my income, out of my savings, but could you have saved that or paid that money without any worries or problems? I doubt it very much indeed. So I strongly urge you, whether you're single or married, to make sure that you have the right insurance cover under one way, shape or form, and if you haven't, you better change the situation. And I'm talking about right now, not next week or next month. I'm talking about today or tomorrow. And if you don't, and the worst should happen, well then you will only have yourself to blame. I'll see you next Monday.